right, Shalom. This is Hara 1 by Yahawah of the Lions Den Camp. Before I begin, I want to say Kal Halayim, La Yahawah, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Harakah Kodash, Ma'amah. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and their elders, and Shalom to you, Akim, and Akwatim and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. With this lesson here, man, what I want to do is hopefully give some edification and also gain some more knowledge and share some knowledge dealing with the current situation that's going on over there in Palestine and Israel. All right, and we all see the clips. We know how it's going to affect the world. This is a hot spot, powder keg to kick off World War III, which it is in many beliefs, even in my belief, that World War III already started. All right, we're in the beginning and initial stages of World War III. The situation over in Ukraine, the situations all around the world. Now with this entanglement with the Israelis, the Khazars, Esau, against the Palestinians, which would be Ishmaelites or Arabs. All right, I used to think they were Elamites that moved to that land, but they're actually Ishmaelites that moved to that land in the 6th century AD. All right, so they're fighting over a land that belongs to neither one of them. That's where the start has to happen at. All right, the land of Palestine used to be called Philistines. Philistine, all right, the land of the Philistines, which were them tall Africans, them Hamites, all right. But now you have Arabs, Ishmaelites living in that land. But even still, that land is prophesied to be given to the Israelites in the kingdom, the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. Mostly Judah and Manasseh going to get those lands. All right, so that's the scope of this lesson, dealing with prophecy, dealing with the initial start and beginning of those two heathen nations being in our land. All right, so as you can see on the screen, there's a map or a graphic, a land geographic. You can see Palestine, which was originally called Palestine, or ruled by the Palestinians, since the 6th century. Sorry, because Islam was really established in the 5th century AD, 500 AD, around that time. All right, so fast forwarding to 1947, you have the migration of, I'll say, the Khazars. All right, those in the know who the Khazars are. They're Edomites. They were forced and moved into this land in 1947. All right. Now you see the next picture next to it. Well, the first picture says what? Jewish settlements, and then you have Palestinian settlements in the green. All right, so you see first the fake Jews, they were scattered all over that land at the top. Now in the second picture it says the United Nations plan in 1947, before they established Israel as a sovereign nation in 1948 in that land. It says Israel land, you see their land expanded. All right, so the Palestinians was like, yeah, y'all can come into our land, which was not their land anyway, but they were occupying it at that time. They said you can come in and share it. I think they had something called the Abraham Agreement, meaning they were brothers. Allegedly, they thought they were brothers under Abraham. All right. You had Isaac and Ishmael. They were brothers. So they tried to claim peace, all right, when there really can be no peace, until the city of peace is established, the children of Israel. So you go to the next picture, you see the Israelis' land expanded even more. All right. And then you go to the 1949 to 1967. It expanded even more after they gained sovereignty in that area and support from America and these other European nations for Israel to be established. But the Lord said He's going to establish Israel, not man. All right. So when the children of Israel are in that land, they're going to be brought from the heavens, New Jerusalem, refreshed upon the earth, not being established by political Zionists or Edomites. And by 2005, look at the land that Palestine was left to occupy. I think they call this the West Bank, this little smudge of green here. And then on the left, you had that tiny, tiny little area or ghetto called the Gaza Strip, which is basically a place just for bombing, I think Hezbollah or Hamas. All right. So that's it. And they said the West Bank, this little area here, is occupied with like under martial law of those Khazars. Putting martial law and torturing Palestinians. What is Arabs. All right. All right. First, let's start off and see who is Hamas. We know Hamas is backed by Iran. Okay. So this could, me personally, I believe this could be a response, like a chess move from the Iranians. I might do a lesson on that. As a response to Israel, going way back to Soleimani, or whatever his name was that they killed. And then the recent peace deals that Israel was hoping to make with Saudi Arabia. Then out of nowhere, they made a threat to Iran as they were trying to make peace with Saudi Arabia, and they said they had a month to do it. And now within that month, you get this response from the Hamas, which is backed by Iran. All right, scriptures say when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction shall come. All right, so let's see about Hamas real quick. Hamas, officially, the Islamic Resistance Movement, is a Sunni Islamic political and militant organization currently governing the Gaza Strip of the Palestinian territories. While it is headquartered in Gaza City, it also has a presence in the West Bank, in which Fatah exercises control. And it was founded, this political party was founded in 1987. But they moved there to these areas earlier than that. Let's get this real quick. All right, I'm gonna read this brief article dealing with the settlement of those Arabs, Muslim Arabs, in that land that they call Palestine. It says Middle Ages, because originally those areas were called, for us, Manasseh and Dan. Okay, over there near the Gaza Strip. And those lands are going to be given back to what you would call the Danites, but the Danites were mingled in to Israel, or most likely through Judah or Manasseh, which I believe it was Judah, during the battles of Megiddo. All right. Now it says here, because I did a little history, and it was a group of people called the Sea Peoples, or the Danites, that joined with Judah in the Battle of Megiddo to make a bigger army. All right, so it says the Christian majority population of Byzantine Palestine during that time, during the Byzantine Empire. All right, the land of Palestine, having been formed by the conversions, plus various migrations, was to undergo yet another upheaval. In 629 AD, Palestine was invaded by Arabs from the Hejaz. By 635, Palestine, Jordan, and southern Syria, with the exception of Jerusalem, Caesarea, were in Muslim hands. Jerusalem capitulated in 637. All right, so those lands were taken over by Arabs since the 6th century. That's how they got in that land. All right, fighting over that land, when it's really that land belongs to us. All right, so it says, unlike the Byzantine era, which saw forced conversions of Jews and Samaritans to Christianity, Levi, Reuben, I don't know who that is, Levi Reuben advocated that conversion was not commonplace during the early period of the Islamic Empire, all right, around the 6th century. It has been presumed until now that the presence of Muslims in Samaria was the capital of Ephraim, was solely a result of immigration of Arab Muslims into the area. See, they all immigrated. A small part of this Muslim population originated in Samaria population, which converted to Islam during the early Muslim period, mainly as a result of difficult economic conditions for non-Muslims. As of now, this is the only evidence we have of a mass conversion to Islam in Palestine during the early Muslim period. Arabization of the Levant, that's that whole area over there called the Levant, all right, involved the realm's new subjects adopting the Arab language and Islam. Okay, so basically this is the point where they moved into that land, all right, those Arabs. All right, so let's get this. It says here, Israel versus Palestine, Hamas, war history. All right, so we know who Hamas is, the political party of those Muslims or Arabs that populate a small strip of Gaza and the those small areas, cluster areas of the West Bank, which is under a state of kind of lockdown or martial law. All right, under Israelis. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict dates back to the late 19th century, so the 1900s is where this goes back to. When Zionists tried to create a Jewish homeland in Palestine under Ottoman rule. The Ottomans are the Edomites, Ottoman Turks. Jewish immigrants arrived, Edomite immigrants arrived in the area in a large number. See that? As a result of the British government's 1917 Balfour Declaration, which supported the idea of a Jewish homeland in Palestine, right? You know, Britain is part of the dragon. Israel was founded in 1948. All right, we know Israel was founded and given sovereignty in 1948 as a result of increased international demand for the creation of a Jewish state in Palestine following World War II and the Holocaust. We know about that. A protracted struggle between Israel and the Palestinian people, the Arabs, was caused by the creation of Israel and the wars. See, by the establishment of Israel and the wars that preceded and followed it. So that's what caused the struggle between them two. You know, Esau always, man, they enlarged their desires as hell. That's Habakkuk chapter 2. Which resulted in the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. See, as Israel, as those Khazars began to expand on that land, they were killing and displacing hundreds of thousands of Palestinians. And at least a portion of historic Palestine, the Palestinians aimed to create their own sovereign state, and that's what they did in Gaza and the West Bank. This objective is currently out of reach due to the Israeli border defense. Wow. Palestinian, they don't want them to have a sovereign state, and that's what you're hearing Trump and Netanyahu talking about, not giving Palestine their sovereignty, which is wrong, you know. See, in the kingdom, that's why the Lord said that in the kingdom, it's that after 1,000 years, they're going to be able to live, meaning those nations like those Arabs, Ishmael, are going to have their lands. They're not going to have the Gaza Strip or Palestine. That's going to be given to Israelites. But they're going to be able to live in Ishmael, the land of Ishmael. Or what you would call the deserts, Arabia. All right, so but they're still gonna be under us, but they're gonna have some good form of living, you know. They'll never gain sovereignty, but they'll have some form of movement. They're gonna be under us though. All right, and at least a portion of historic Palestine, the Palestinians aim to create their own sovereign state. This objective is currently out of reach due to Israeli border defense. Palestinian international politics, wow, Israeli rule over the West Bank, this is what's stopping their objective from becoming sovereign. All right, Palestinian international politics, Israeli rule over the West Bank, that's their martial law. The Egyptian-Israeli embargo of the Gaza Strip. All right, so those Khazars, they're trying to stop Egypt from helping and supporting Palestine. And Israeli authority over the Israeli occupied territory. So you kind of see what's going on there now. This beef goes back at least to the 6th century AD. All right, but the issue between Jacob and Esau goes back to 2006 BC. That's when Jacob was born and Esau was born. 2006 BC. So that's going deep-rooted struggling in the womb of Rebecca. All right, so let's get this. This is Matthew 24:7. 24:6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. So we're hearing about the wars kicking up and heating up. All right, it's like the fire being kindled. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. See that? So the destruction is not yet. Don't let them fool you and put fear into you on the internet, all over the internet. Distractions. All right, so these are definitely things to watch. It's the prophecy, so this is a joyful time for the elect, the hopeful elect. But others, they getting scared. You can see them panicking, like, oh, you think we're gonna go to war? Yes, it's gonna happen. We're looking forward to it. But the end is not yet. All right, so we got to continue in this work. For nation shall rise against nation. So if we see them rising up against each other, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in diverse places, but all these are the beginning of the sorrow. So we at the beginning. That's like the China expert said, man. He said, I believe this is what we're seeing is the beginning of World War III with Russia, Ukraine, and NATO now. Supposedly NATO pipeline got hit. A NATO member pipeline got hit by Russia, which could be a lie. And then you have Israel and Hamas, which is pulling in other nations like Lebanon. Rockets are being fired from Lebanon and Syria, and now you have Egypt trying to help support the Palestinians, while Israel threatened Egypt. They're mounting a ground force against Gaza to go in there and do the same thing, kill and slaughter and massacre. They dropped 2,600. They said they destroyed 2,600 alleged terrorist targets. Now, what did they call the Gadites when they came over to America and enslaved the Gadites and tormented and tortured them? When the Gadites fought back, they called them what? Savages and terrorists. Thuggies. We call them thugs. That's where Tupac got the word thug from. All right, thuggy, which goes back to a rebel that was fighting against the government. All right, they call them thugs. That's what they call Jake thugs today, which is another word for terrorists. All right. All right, so you can see the map here. It says at the time of David, around 1010 BC, and we know David ruled till around 970 BC. All right, I think he started from 1101 to 970, and then King Solomon ruled. All right, so this was when we were in power. But at that time, he was fighting against who? The Philistines. The Philistines were those tall Africans from the Hamites. And they controlled the Gaza Strip, the Ashkelon, Ashdod, and Ekron. All right. You had Gath, you had Gerar, Gezer, Gibbethon, and Ziklag. All these were ruled by Philistines. All right. I think what was his name, man? I think Goliath was from Gath. All right. The Philistine. All right. But as you can see on this map here, all of those areas are taken over by the Khazar Edomites. Okay. They took over basically the whole portion of it, at least 90% of it, of that land that was called Philistine. All right. But it's really called Israel, given to us. We see the little tiny strip, Gaza. Okay, then Ashdod, Ashkelon, they're ruled by the Israelis. Then you have the West Bank, near the plains of Ephraim and over near Jordan, which the West Bank is under martial rule or law from Israel. Now Israel is under threat from a war on every side, from the Egypt, from Jordan, from Syria, and Lebanon. All right. So they're under direct threat from all those nations right now, which is the reason why America is sending over those aircraft carriers, where they can bring in thousands of jets and bombers. All right, nuclear powered, that can last 50 years out there with no refueling. And they're saying this as they're sending them over there, almost like 5 units of aircraft carriers. They're sending them over there as a deterrent against these nations like Syria, Jordan, Egypt, and Lebanon that want to help the Palestinian Arabs. All right, so now Russia and Iran are talking about getting involved if they go ahead with the ground assault from Netanyahu and the Israelis. All right. Okay, so now spiritually today we know Tyrus or Tyree spiritually will represent America, all right, and their allies. But let's read it in this sense. This already happened, but spiritually, these things are written for us today to understand. Zechariah 9:3, and Tyrus did build herself a stronghold and heaped up silver as the dust and fine gold as the mire of the streets. Same thing Esau did. Behold, Yahawah will cast her out, and he will smite her power in the sea. So even today with America and their allies like Israel, the Lord is going to smite their power in the midst of these wars, man. All right, and their power is going to be hunger bitten. They're going to be weak in the sight of these nations once the battle really kicks off. And they're preparing for a ground invasion. You have, who's that? Hezbollah, Hamas, allegedly calling for a global jihad, which is a holy war. On Friday, they're calling for it on Friday. So something could happen all over the world. You got the immigrants pouring into American southern borders. You know, almost going back for two years allegedly. All right. So Elder Apostle Hart put it out there, said this could be the year of all the prophecies coming to pass. All right. Everything moving quick. Behold, Yahawah will cast her out, and he will smite her power in the sea, and she shall be devoured with fire. So ultimately, America is going to be devoured with fire. All right. And Ashkelon shall see it. So the Khazars that rule that area, they're going to see the destruction of America as they're getting destroyed too. And they shall see it and fear. See that? They're going to see Russia and China and all these nations shoot 200 million nukes on the soils of America. So where's Israel's help then? All right. Where's their help then, man? Because the only help they got, the only reason they got that power over the Palestinians, I watched the interview with Netanyahu. He said the only reason we have power over the Palestinians is because we got America. That's it. So without America, they wouldn't have that power that they have today. All right. So Ashkelon, which is ran by the Khazars, shall see it and fear. Gaza also shall see it and be very sorrowful. And Ekron, all these ran by the Israelis right now. All right, I'll say Khazars. For her expectation shall be ashamed. So they expecting that America gonna have their back in this war, but ultimately their expectation is gonna be ashamed. What does Scripture say in Obadiah? For that violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee. And they're gonna realize that their fathers have believed in lies, thinking that they're the real Jews, you know, the real Israelites when they're not. You know, we are the real Jews. We're the real Israelites. Ashkelon shall see it, and Gaza also shall see it. They're gonna see the destruction of America and be sorrowful. That goes very sorrowful. That goes with Revelation 18. And Ekron, for her expectation shall be ashamed, and the king shall perish from Gaza. Who is that? Spiritually today, the ruler over those areas, which would be those Khazars and also Hamas rulers, they are going to perish from that land. It's going to be a sea of glass, or ultimately it's going to be given to the true children of Israel. And Ashkelon shall not be inhabited, man. That place is going to be a sea of glass real soon. And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines, man. So today, spiritually, the Philistines in that land represent the Arabs, Hamas, right? And then you have the bastard, which would be a fatherless child, Esau, is dwelling in Ashdod. And he's gonna cut off the pride of those Arabs, man. Ishmael. All right, Genesis 16:11. And the angel of Yahawah said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son. He was talking to Hannah, all right, the bond woman, the slave woman, and shalt call his name Ishmael, because Yahawah have heard thy affliction. Right. So today you have Ishmael, but then you got Jake wanting to be like Ishmael. The scriptures say, "Don't envy not the heathen, and envy not the oppressor, and choose none of their ways." The Arabs, they oppressed us too. It was called the transatlantic slave trade. All right. In the book of Psalms, it tells you that all these nations were against us, including Edom, including Ishmael, the Arabs, including the Hamites. All right. So they were all confederate against us at one point. It said, verse 12, and he will be a wild man. You know, the Arabs are wild. They got their whole, they be blowing themselves up and shit. Right? Holy war. You see, they saying allegedly that they, on the news, that they possibly cut off like the heads of 40 Khazarian children, I'll say, Edomite children. All right, Israelis. He will be a wild man. You know, you look at the Arabs, they got tigers, they got all kind of royalty and shit going on. Right? They just wild, man. They be throwing stones while Esau shooting bullets. They'll run up to you, just grab you and blow you and themselves up. So they wild, living in the desert. His hand will be against every man. So anybody want it, they can get it. Gun for hire. That's what the Arabs are. And every man's hand against him. All right. So, and he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren, and all his brethren are Esau, Jacob, these Hamites, right? They dwell in the presence of all their brethren over in Lebanon and Syria and Egypt, all right? Even around the Jordan. So they dwell in smack dab in the middle of all those areas, and they're still called the Saudi Ishmael royalty. All right. And they got propped up and rich off of the US dollar and their oil fields. So Ishmael is the wild man, all right? And all the nations, especially Esau, have been against the Arabs. Now it says here, Revelation 16:12, and the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, and the ways of the kings of the east might be prepared. Man, the kings of the east, let's get that real quick. All right, so you have the Euphrates River, and we know it's drying up due to drought. And also, at the top of the Euphrates River, you have what you call Turkey. All right, those original Ottoman Turks or Edomites, and they control the water flow that flows south of Turkey. So all the water that goes through Syria, it's another land, I forgot what they were called, man. The ones they're beefing with over in Turkey. All right, the Arabs that they're going against. Let me get that real quick. Check this out. It says Turkey is reportedly depriving hundreds of thousands of people of water. The nation has been accused of breaking its agreement to ensure a flow of 500 cubic meters per second of the Euphrates flows through Syria. All right, so Who controls the water flow that's going through the Euphrates? Turkey, another Edomite and nation, and they control the flow that goes to the Kurds, into Syria, into Egypt. All right, and they supposed to give a certain amount for those countries to survive off the water per second. But they've been slowing up the flow of it, which is ultimately causing the drought, causing a dry land, and that dry land is leaving room for the Kurds to come over, which would be backed by Syria, which would be backed by Iran, and so on and so on. Another proxy nation that can draw them out. And they're leading that Euphrates dry ground was the same dry ground that was used to go to war against ancient Babylon by the Persians. All right, it was an area for battle every time it would dry up. All right, and then it would flow with water, and then the people couldn't cross it anymore. So now it's like a wall almost, you know, and that wall is being removed. Like you have two pit bulls locked at a cage, and then you just remove that slide from between them. They're gonna go at each other. So it's gonna be a ground for war again. All right, dry ground. So it's all prophetic. So they're helping the drying of the water in the Euphrates, which is, they said it's like almost 90% gone. It says the deliberate withholding of water from hundreds of thousands of people should be headline news, but not, it seems, if the people affected live in the unrecognized autonomous administration of North and East Syria, known to many as Rojava, and not in the nation holding back the water and not if the nation holding back the water is a member of NATO. And that's what Turkey is, a member of NATO. All right. So they feel like they can do what they want. Who will make war with the beast? Most people are unaware that since the end of January, Turkey has reportedly broken its 1987 agreement with Syria and Iraq to ensure a minimum flow of 500 cubic meters per second of the Euphrates River to Syria, 60% of which goes on to Iraq. Instead, it is letting less than 200 cubic meters through to Syria, according to Kurdish authorities and NGOs, leading to a severe decline in the water levels and threatening a major humanitarian crisis. So what's declining the water levels over there is Esau once again. In the way, man. They gotta be moved out of the way. And it's causing a drought, and with the heat, it's drying out the rest of the water. All right, that's why you have dry ground over there. And they said 75% of the water is gone. There are many international actors in the region, and they cannot be unaware. All right, cool. So now, I like to get the point. All right, it says, the Euphrates River is found alongside the Tigris River, winding through present-day Turkey, Syria, and Iraq, before emptying into what? The Persian Gulf. So where's the Valley of Jehoshaphat? The Persian Gulf area. Over there, also near the Valley of Kidron. Also, all the armies are what? Gathering in Ukraine, gathering in Syria, gathering in, what you would call today the Gaza Strip. All right, so all the armies are being gathered into that area for a big conflict, a head-on war, proxy war, all of that in one. All right. Now it says here, in Iraq, before emptying into the Persian Gulf, it's the largest river system in the Western Asia, with a basin that also spreads into Iran. Okay. All right, you see here the Euphrates River and the Tigris, and they lead right into the Persian Gulf, which is really owned by Iran. All right, and they're fighting over that right now. So we at the end, man. We see the prophecies coming to pass. It says, at the end they shall speak and not lie. Revelation 16:12, and the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. So the east is fighting against the west. All right, just like Biggie and Tupac. You got the east representing China, Eastern Asia, right, Southern Asia, Northeastern Asia, which would be Russia. Iran is over there, a little bit more to the right. North Korea, all these different nations that's going to come against the West, which would be Western Europe, America, Israel. And it says here, so it's making way for the kings of the East, that they might be prepared for a battle over there, for all the troops, even ground troops, to fight a war. All right, and it's going to be called the Battle of Armageddon. Let's get that. Verse 16. And he gathered them together in a place called in the Hebrew tongue Armageddon, which would mean a mountain of troops, or a gathering of troops, man. So all the world's armies are gathering over there. Even the Lord has America gathering their army over there since Operation Desert Storm, or really since World War II. They started going over there and breaking up all those Arab nations. They were all together. The Arab nations, they were like family, and they would have small hiccups between each other, struggles. Then America and Russia got involved, and China, and they started breaking up those families and those nations over there in the middle, what they call the Middle East, those Arab nations, or Muslim nations, I should say. All right. Building allies on different sides. They did the same thing with South Korea and North Korea in the 1950s. It's called the Korean conflict. Then you had Russia took North Korea, and America took South Korea. All right. So yeah, man, the way of the kings of the East is being prepared, man, for war. This is Joel 2:1. Blow ye the trumpet in Zion. And that's what we're doing, waking up our people. Blowing the trumpet, giving off the right vibration so that they can be warned correctly. And sound an alarm in my holy mountain. You see, they doing those damn FEMA tests. we're like spiritual warnings, spiritual tests, spiritual alarms amongst our people. Only a sound that the elect can hear and take heed to. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of Yahawah cometh, for it is nigh at hand. So if you're here on the soils of America, or even in the land of Israel, you know, Jake be like, let's go to Israel, let's run back to our land. Yeah, I bet you they don't want to be over there now. You know, I forgot the guy name that took his congregation over there in the 60s or 70s. I forget his name, man. I think he passed on, but his people still over there. The Lord never told us to go back to that land. He said he was going to take us back into that land. All right. That's why I tell people, yeah, you from Israel? No, I'm from there, but I wasn't born there. I was born right in Philadelphia. Only one out of my family born and raised in South Philadelphia. But to go over there to the land of Israel, I don't need to see it. I don't need to see the Bahamas. I don't need none of that. I was always taught, I always taught myself through the Spirit that you, in movies, you know, they say if you build it, they will come. You go to a field and you build what you're looking for, people will show up. So you can build your own Bahamas. You can build your own Israel. Meaning going to reach our people. He said the kingdom of heaven is within you. All right. And then the Lord is going to take us and put us on our land, plant us in our land. It says a day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness. Right, let me get this real quick, my bad. This is Joel 3:1. That's what I wanted. For behold, in those days, see, we're in that time. All right. And we're in the time of the sixth angel blowing his trumpet, going into the time of the sixth trouble. All right, well, the Lord said he's going to begin to deliver the elect of Israel. And in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, that's right now. All right, so the Lord started to look at that land and his people over here. I will also, that's right, let me get that real quick. Right, Psalms 9:12. When he maketh inquisition for blood, he remembereth them. He forgetteth not the cry of the humble. See, the Lord did not forget our cry from when we went into slavery, when we were taken down by these nations. All right, so the Lord did never forget us. You see how America is, what they doing. They trying to go over there and save Americans. That's in being held hostage and allegedly by the Palestinians. So they send the aircraft carriers, all kind of stuff over there. So you don't think Yahawah gonna pull out all the stops and angels for us? The original victims by the hands of Esau. 2nd Ezra 6:18, and it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell on the earth, upon the earth. So the Lord is visiting the earth. The God of the Israelites is visiting the earth, and will begin to make inquisition. See, he'd make an inquisition for blood. All right, and when they be and what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled, man. See, when the Lord brings again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, when our captivity is done, it's almost over. So now the Lord is looking to these other nations and beginning their affliction, beginning their chastisement. All right, so now all these nations are surrounding the land of Israel, focusing on Esau, just like over here in America. All the nations going to be around about against it. Ezekiel 35:6. Therefore, so this is the Lord making inquisition against Esau. Therefore, as I live, saith Yahawah power, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee, man. All right, look what them Khazars did to our people that went over there in the 60s and 70s. I forget the guy's name, man. Jake that took his congregation over there. All right, it don't really matter, but as soon as they went over there, instead of listening to the Abba Bivens, Elder King Masha, Elder Yahawah, Elder Apostle Tahar, instead of listening to people like them, I think his name was Ben Amin. He took his congregation over to, Ben Amin took his congregation over there to Israel. As soon as they got there, the Khazars, Edomites, forced all the young men to join the army. That's the only way they could occupy the area. And they put them in heavily polluted areas. And they were killing them off and, tormenting them. Same thing they did to us over here. So since they had not hated blood, what they did to the Arabs, killing them off when they tried to share their land with them. Same way the Gadites did, invited them in, and next thing you know, they had smallpox in their clothing and killed them off. Same thing. Esau, no new thing under the sun. And Esau's a one-trick. I always say Esau's a one-trick pony. To kill, steal, and destroy. Their blessing is what? The sword. and the liars. He's the father of it, the authority of speaking lies. So the blood is pursuing them right now. That's why they're hearing about all these mass killings over there. Thus will I make Mount Seir most desolate. Of all the nations, Esau is going to be the most desolate nation. And cut off from it him that passeth out, and him that returneth. And I will fill his mountains with his slain men in thy hills, and in thy valleys, and in all thy rivers shall they fall that are slain with the sword. Sheesh. And I will make thee perpetual desolations, and thy cities shall not return. And ye shall know that I am Yahawah. Right, so those nations that's being destroyed now, or those cities that's being destroyed, they said it was rockets flying into every city over there in Jerusalem, our land. So it's being destroyed. You know, the wickedness that they do over there, Tel Aviv and the letter community, the rainbow stuff. Desecrating the holy rainbow that was set up as a covenant with Noah. And man, they said they was having some type of rage concert. All right, they call it a festival now, but it was a rage concert, and we know that's all paganism. They be on type of lucid drugs and all that mess. The letter community be there, and then they look up, you got parachuters flying in, Palestinians. They started laying things down. That's judgment. All right, so back to Joel chapter 3. For behold, in those days, 3 and 1. For behold, in those days and in that time. See, when our captivity is being fulfilled, it's done. It's almost at its end. When I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations. So he's making inquisition. And will bring them down into the valley of Yahawah Shaphat. And where Yahawah Shaphat, or Jehoshaphat, should be Yahawah Shaphat, meaning Yahweh's judgment. This is where he's going to plead with those armies, meaning judge them. He's going to send Yahawah Shai ultimately to finish them off, according to 2 Ezra chapter 13. And I will plead with them there, meaning he's going to judge them there, for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land. See, the Lord mad about that they parted his land between the Palestinians and the Khazars. All right. So they parted his land amongst the Ottoman Turks as well. All right, so they scattered his people and they parted his land. The Lord ain't feeling that. And they have cast lots for my people, and have given a boy for an harlot, and sold a girl for wine, that they may drink. What's that? The transatlantic slave trade, the trans-Sahara slave trade with the Arabs and the Africans and Esau. Yea, and what have ye to do with me, O Tyre and Zidon, or Tyre? That's those Hamitic nations. All right, they used to be ruling in that coast over there near Tyre and Zidon. And all the coast of Palestine, that's the Arabs that's living in that area today. Will ye render me a recompense? If ye recompense me swiftly and speedily, will I return your recompense upon your own head. Because ye have taken my silver and my gold, and have carried into your temples my goodly pleasant things. The children also of Judah and Jerusalem, and the children of Jerusalem, the northern and southern tribes of Israel, the Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, have ye sold unto the Grecians, and that represents Esau today, that ye might remove them far from their borders. We've been removed far from our borders, and we've been taken into Africa, taken from Africa, put in slave ships into Saudi Arabia, into America, into Haiti, Jamaica. All right. all over the world. Um, Behold, I will raise them out of the place whither ye have sold them, and I will return your recompense upon your own heads, man. All right. So that's what's going to happen. It says, I will sell your sons and your daughters into the hands of the children of Judah, and they shall sell them to the Sabines, which is those Arabs, to a people far off, for Yahawah have spoken it. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles. So this is what we're proclaiming, the prophecy that's happening to these foreigners, these heathens right now. Prepare war. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. All right, so it's happening. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. And they went from being agricultural countries, proxy countries, now they're militarized, dominant, nuclear-powered countries. They beat all their pruning hooks into missiles. Let the weak say, I am strong. So they got all the deterrence now, and power, and allies. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. See, and the Lord gonna send his mighty angels down for the battle as well, to control the minds of these rulers over there that may not want to fight, that want to bring peace. But the Lord like, nah, you ain't get no peace. You know, as soon as they say peace, let's get that real quick. All right, and I still may do a lesson on this, but 1 Thessalonians 5:3. For when they shall say peace and safety. And what was Netanyahu, that demon, what was he talking about a month ago? Peace and safety with Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Egypt, Jordan, all these nations that's against that land right now, Israel, the Israelis. So when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. All right, we got thousands of them getting slaughtered over there. It was a surprise attack, and Russia is mocking the U.S. and Israel for being caught off guard by Hamas. All right, so Joel 3:11, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen. So that's why they're all gathering in those areas. Let me get that. All right, so I can't draw a line on it, but I'm gonna use this right here. So you see from Russia, you have troops gathering there on the borders of Russia. All right, the issues with Turkey, Syria, Jordan, Tel Aviv, Damascus, all over here, Lebanon, right, Palestine, which they don't even have that on here. They don't even recognize them. All right, then you have Saudi Arabia, and that scripture where the Lord said he's going to cause to draw off far from thee the northern army, and they're going to dwell in the land barren and desolate, with their face towards the east sea or something like that. All right, and their hinder part towards the utmost sea, which would be, I probably said that backwards, but you have the Red Sea, and they're pointing towards the Caspian Sea and the Black Sea. All right, which used to be one sea altogether. It dried up, but it used to be connected. That was originally called the utmost sea, and that would leave the American army that was in Arabia or in Iraq as well, Kuwait, during the 2003, I think it is, the Operation Desert Storm with George Bush Sr. I was around, I saw that war kick off, and their face towards this area which would tell you their intention is to ultimately go into Iran and Russia. All right, for war. That's what the Lord has their intention set on. And the Persian Gulf right here. So all those areas are hotbeds for war right now. All right, and the Jehoshaphat, which would be near the Valley of Kidron and also near the Persian Gulf. So all these areas where the armies are being gathered for war, and they're all going to turn against the Israeli army and American army wherever they scattered. All right, so Joel 3:12, let the heathen be awakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. So every battle, every war that's happening, every bullet that's shot off, the Lord is controlling it. All right, and He's gonna have them get judged over there, dying in the war. He said their stink shall come up, and then He's gonna send Yahawah to finish them off. This is Joel 2:20. Behold, I will remove far off from thee the northern army. So America's army is spread all over the world. All right, spread thin. Now at this moment, is fighting a war on two fronts, over in Ukraine and over there. Allegedly could happen in Palestine. And will drive him into a land barren and desolate. So who led America's army out there? The spiritual demon Satan. Who controls the deceiving spirits and spiritual demon Satan? Yahawah. You can read the book of Job to understand that. All right, and his face. So they were led to a land barren and desolate, meaning a desert, which is Saudi Arabia or Kuwait. And his face toward the East Sea, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea. All right, so that's the Red Sea, and then you got the Black and Caspian Sea. And his stink shall come up, so there's gonna be a lot of death over there. And his ill savor shall come up, because he have done great things. And when Esau do great things, there's a lot of death. Habakkuk chapter 2. They enlarge their desires, great things, as hell. All right, this is Nahum chapter 2, and 8. It says, but Nineveh, today that spiritually represents America, is of old like a pool of water. Yet, all right, so it was a place for people to dwell and refresh their nation, and put it like that. Yet they shall flee away. So all these nations have flown away from America. All right, broken their ties from this place. Stand, stand, shall they cry, but none shall look back. So none of these nations are looking back. They're joining what? The BRICS nations. Take ye the spoil of silver, take the spoil of gold, for there is none end of the store, and glory out of all the pleasant furniture. She is empty and void. So America's gonna be laid waste. It says, and waste. And the heart melteth. So all their plans, their government, their ideologies is all gonna fade away in this place. And the knees smite together. What was that? Famine, fear is upon this place, and much pain in all loins, man. So everybody that's in this place is going to be suffering, except for the elect. All right, at some point. And the faces of them all gather blackness. Where is the dwelling of the lions? All right, the lions. Where is the dwelling? Where can you find America's army anymore? All right, where? It said, in the feeding place of the young lions. All right, so that would represent their citizens, you know, and their military. Where the lion, even the old lion, walked, and the lions whelped, and none made him afraid, man. All right, so where on this earth can you find the American army and people being in fear of it now? All right, you don't see that anymore. It says here, the lion did tear in pieces enough for his whelps. All right, so America would usually go around the world tearing in pieces these nations, seeking whom they may devour. All right, you got little Satan and big Satan. The Israelis, the little Satan and the big Satan, America. This is out of Netanyahu's mouth. Called itself Little Satan and Big Satan. Look it up. All right, so the lion did tear in pieces. So they went over around the world, devouring nations. Went over to Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq. You know, enough for his whelps. I mean, enough for America to live wealthy as they live in today, or they were. You know, that's when America was, you know, popping. Everybody loved America. People love being American, right? So the downfall of these other nations helped America become rich and great as it is today. So the lion did tear in pieces enough for his whelps. I mean, enough for his citizens and his soldiers, and strangled for his lionesses, as for their governors and their leaders, and filled his holes with prey and his dens with ravens. All right. And what happens when a lion does that, or a lioness? They'll attack, run into their den, and devour their prey until they get bothered, and they'll come out and attack again. So they were doing that, you know, stealing the resources from the world. But the Lord said this. All right, so they filled their holes with prey. All right, so they carry their kill back into their lion den, which would be America, and their military bases, and his dens with ravens. Behold, I am against thee. See, the Lord is against their armies, against them, saith Yahawah of hosts, and I will burn her chariots with smoke. So they're going to be destroyed ultimately by Iran and these other nations like Israel. Hamas, Russia, China, Syria, you know. And the sword shall devour thy young lions. They're going to devour their military. They're going to be destroyed over there. They're going to lose in this battle. And it ain't going to be like the movies where America always wins. I will cut off thy prey from the earth, meaning what? That America's no longer going to have a nation to prey on anymore. All right? All the nations are going to say they're strong now. No longer can they be bullied. How is the hammer of the whole earth broken asunder? All right? And I will cut off thy prey from the earth, man. So they're not going to have any prey. A lion with no prey in the earth. And the voice of thy messengers shall no more be heard, man. All right, their ambassadors, their military is no longer going to be heard. This place is fading away. All right, and their power in the earth, the Lord is breaking that first, the staff of the wicked. Okay? They're going to be as a dream of the night. They're going to be gone. And we're seeing that happen. The Lord is turning back our captivity before our eyes. We're seeing America as a powerhouse. We're seeing their power being taken, stripped away like the Black Panther. All right. I'm going to read this real quick. This is Obadiah 1 and 15. For the day of Yahawah is near upon all the heathen. All right, so they got them going against each other. Satan divided against Satan, nation against nation. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thy own head. That's what he said about the Hamites and the Arabs. Their reward will return upon their own head in Esau. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, meaning put us in slavery and afflicted our people, so shall all the heathen drink continually. Yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been, man. See that? So the Lord is fading them away slowly. And they're going to be ultimately Esau and all the hell they put on the earth and that they're putting on the earth, and they think to put on the earth in the future, it's all going to fade away, and they're going to be as though they had not been. Even their armies and their destructive powerhouse army that you see in the movies. America wins and all the time. That's gonna fade away. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance. All right, we're gonna be exalted in the earth, and there shall be holiness, righteousness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions. All right, so we're gonna possess their lands. We're gonna possess their people, their riches and wealth, their kings, and their princesses. The house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them. The word kindle means to hotly pursue them. At the 1,000 years, they're going to be gathered up, and for those 1,000 years, they're going to be pursued like police on, like, you know, how Esau was on us, but 10 times more, because Yahawah got work to do in the kingdom. He's going to say, hey, we got to get this done. We need to rebuild this kingdom up quick. So we're going to have to put hell on these nations to make them work fast. All right. And there shall not be any remain. It says, and they shall kindle in them. It means to hotly pursue them. Like the police be on hot pursuit. He was chasing them around 24/7 in chariots. And devour them. See, ultimately they're going to be devoured because they're the wicked. They represent darkness. And the elect of Israel represent light. And light is going to devour darkness. All darkness shall be put out. And there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for Yahawah hath spoken it. So this is just the beginning of their downfall. And ultimately, there's not going to be any remaining of the house and family and bloodline of Edom on this earth. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau. Who's in the south? Judah. That the mount and land of Edom is going to be given to Judah. And they of the plain, the Philistines. See, Palestine, that's what it's called today. So the plain, over there in Palestine, the Gaza Strip, which was originally the area of Dan. Let's get that real quick. I'm gonna show you a map. All right, so they of the south, which will represent Judah, we're gonna inherit the land that's lower. It's gonna be Edom. We're gonna take all this land here. It's gonna be given to Judah. They're gonna expand. All right, even the wilderness of Zin is gonna be given to Judah. All right, and it says they of the plain. The plain represents this area over here, the flatlands. It's going to be given to who? Dan, which is Dan was mingled into Judah, and or it was mingled into Manasseh, which I think was mingled into Judah. All right, so Dan's going to be a judge in the kingdom, but they're not going to be called Dan. It's going to be what? 12 tribes delivered. All right, so they're mingled in. They're still here, but they're not called Danites. All right, so you have this area here called what? The land of Philistines, or Philistia. Okay, Gaza, Ekron, Ascalon, Ashdod, Gerar, Gath. These are the lands that the Israelis are fighting over today. And the Philistines, they got Gaza, and they have this area called the West Bank. That's going to be given to Judah and Manasseh. All right, this area here. It says, and they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau. That's Judah. It's going to be given to us. And they of the plain, the Philistines, man, Palestine. So they fighting over a land that doesn't even belong to them. All right. So, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim and the fields of Samaria. All right. So who is that talking about? Ephraim. And this right here to the right, over here somewhere, would be called, is it right here? Yeah, it's down here, I think. It's over here somewhere. They haven't enlarged it, but this area here to the right of Ephraim is going to be called, it's called the plains of Samaria, or the forest of Ephraim. So that's going to be given to Ephraim. And then Samaria is going to be given to Ephraim as well. So they're going to dwell there. All right. All right. So Ephraim's going to be back in their place, and they're going to get expanded as well. And the fields of Ephraim, which would be called the fields of Samaria, or the forest of Ephraim, that's going to belong to Ephraim again. It's going to be fruitful and beautiful. And Benjamin shall possess Gilead. All right, so we're going to have Gilead as well. And the captivity of this host of the children of Israel shall possess that of the Canaanites. So anywhere the Canaanites ruled and owned, we're going to own it. And one of the main places that were owned by the Canaanites is all this land here. All right. So all that's going to be given to the children of Israel to inhabit. And we're going to rule from all of this right here. All right. Yahawah is going to be in the midst in Judah. It's going to be beautiful, man. We're going to rule from this coast. Someday our feet are going to stand on these shores and look off over these waters. And the water's going to be crystal clear. And we're going to see sunrises and sunsets from that angle. Obadiah 1:20. And the captivity of the host of this host of the children of Israel. So even though we were captive, now we're going to be rulers, and we're going to possess, meaning own, these people and the lands. That of the Canaanites, even unto Zarephath. All right. And the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Sepharad, shall possess the cities of the south, man. All right. So all of those places where we were captive at, Zarephath, Sepharad, now we're going to possess the land of Judah again. All right. And saviors shall come up on Mount Zion. And this is happening. The elect are being lifted up as saviors, man, to judge the mount of Esau, man. So we're going to be set up as judges. And the kingdom shall be Yahawah's. See, they trying to make it, Esau trying to expand their blessing. That's why they're trying to wipe out the Palestinians. They're trying to do land grabs all around the world, trying to start a new world order, trying to get more control over the people. But the Lord's about to cut all of that out. All right, so I think this is a good one to end it on. This reached an hour and 18 minutes so far. Isaiah 34:1. Come near, ye nations, to hear. So all the nations are coming near, gathering together for war and for their own destruction. And hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, even the Palestinians and the world, and all things that come forth of it. Even Jake over here that was acting like that was sleep, and now they're starting to wake up to it a little bit. Scriptures say they all shall see it together. What? The destruction, the deliverance, Yahawah returning. All right. So they're seeing it now. You talk to Jake now, you be like, you hear about World War III? Yeah, man, the world about to end. They have no idea that it's talking about Esau's world. And their beginning is about to happen, unless they don't repent, and it'll be their destruction as well. For the indignation of Yahawah is upon all nations, man, and his fury upon all their armies. That's why their armies are going through hell right now. All right, Armageddon, the gathering of troops. And the Lord is pleading and judging them. And his fury is upon all their armies. He have utterly destroyed them. He have delivered them to the slaughter. All right.